Kerry Robertson, CEO of Blacktown City Council. Welcome to Digital Dialogue. How are you?
Adam, thanks very much for the opportunity. In Blacktown, we're looking forward very much to opening up and coming out of lockdown.
Yeah, well, you're spot on there, mate. I think, obviously, you're at the helm of one of the biggest LGAs in the country. And Western Sydney, as you mentioned, has probably been at the centre of some of the COVID stuff and lockdown in recent times. Looking to come out of that, what are the things that are critical to Blacktown and Western Sydney bouncing back? And what are some of the opportunities and challenges that you're going to be facing over the next few months?
So thanks, Adam. I'll talk first about council and then more generally about the economy. So Blacktown is the fourth largest council in Australia, the largest council in New South Wales. We have about 2,200 staff who serve a population of about 400,000 people. And our economy is about $23 billion. So it's a big organisation. We as a council have been affected by lockdowns and the constraints on staff, our own staff, as well as contractors. And that's been important because we've got some big capital projects underway. We're currently building a $100 million Centre of Sports Training Excellence at Blacktown International Sports Park and a $34 million animal rehoming centre. So we've got some big projects underway and they've been slowed, as has everyone, by COVID. In terms of the big picture, our economy in Blacktown has been strongly affected by COVID because one of the highest areas of employment within the city is the construction industry. But by the same token, there's other areas of our economy which have not been affected by COVID or have in fact been boosted. So logistics and warehousing and those trades are the biggest part of our economy. And so that is meaning, and that they're the ones that have benefited out of COVID, if you like, click and collect and all of those couriers turning up to your home with packages. So it's been mixed, but it has been a negative. And I'm very, very empathetic to all of those businesses who have needed to close and those workers who have no jobs during the COVID period. And my hat's off to the fantastic work of many community organisations, particularly to Food Bank, which we know and love. John Robertson does an awesome job there. And they are putting out thousands and thousands of food packages every week to needy households across Western Sydney. So Blacktown Council's been a little affected, and more generally, the economy has been affected, Adam.
Yeah, I mean, you're right to touch on the work that John's doing with Food Bank, and I mean, I suppose that's one of the issues that the pandemic's highlighted, particularly in places like Blacktown, the inequity and some of the social issues and challenges that communities in our city are facing. How can the government go about sort of rebuilding trust with some of these communities, given what's happened in the past 3 to 4 months?
Yeah, the photos of people on Bondi Beach whilst Western Sydney and South Western Sydney were locked down were unfortunate, and the apparent difference in policing attitudes across places was unfortunate. To give credit, I think that the government has worked very, very hard to get the public health orders right to serve the health outcome. There is a lot that needs to be done to repair trust in the minds of the community. And I acknowledge the absolutely awesome work of our Mayor, Tony Bleasdale, OAM, who's consistently called for high rates of vaccination, and which has led to Blacktown City now having more than 95% of its over 16s vaccinated.
I saw that. It's exceptional.
And in fact, the Washington Post did a half-hour interview with him a couple of days back, stunned that seemingly Blacktown's ended up with the highest vaccination rate of any place in the world.
Oh, I was going to say, I mean, Blacktown's gone global. That's a world first. Well done.
It is, yeah. So that's great. That's great. Why has that happened? It's happened because, once again, for the right health reasons, some sectors of the economy needed to be targeted. Construction was one of them, and basically you couldn't work without getting the vaccine, and so people have gone and got the vaccine. So it's been a blend of absolutely fantastic local leadership, strength in the state from a health perspective, and the need for some parts of our economy to mandatorily have vaccine. We have a high proportion of health workers, we have a high proportion of teachers and carers, and we have a high proportion of our workforce in construction. All of those are areas that have mandatory vaccination, and that's part of why the success has been achieved. It's multi-pronged. There is, though, a gap of trust, and I know that ministers have been seeking to address that. I know that the, Minister Ayres and the then Treasurer, now Premier, met with our Mayor a fortnight ago to talk about some of the opportunities that they saw as to how government, the state government, can help recovery in Western Sydney. And the Mayor was able to forcefully put his suggestions as to what needed to be done to get the economy back on its feet in Western Sydney.
Yeah, it's a good segue into my next question. There was some good news a couple of weeks ago where New South Wales government announced that the $5 billion West Invest Fund to help Greater Western Sydney's economic bounce back, and great to hear that yourself and the Mayor have been involved in those conversations. Where are some of those areas where you'd like to see those funds utilised?
Adam, the most important thing I think is to not dream up new stuff. There is lots of lists across agencies and councils of work that needs to be done. The way we're structuring our response to government is in three parts. So for those elements that government has funding for government agencies, we would say put that toward large metropolitan shaping infrastructure. First and foremost, the metro between Tallawong and St Mary's, the upgrade of Richmond Road to provide flood relief, which will allow 2 precincts of further urban development to be released, Marsden Park North and Schofields West, providing many more thousands of housing opportunities. And then some lower order but very important infrastructure, Bandon Road extension to Richmond Road, Garfield Road upgrades. So there's plenty of things which are already listed that need to be done. Schools, for instance, there's so many children in temporary and transportable buildings in Western Sydney simply because the state hasn't been keeping up with the growth. That's the first tier. The second tier for us is large things that are council's responsibility. Because of government policy, we have not been able to levy developers for community facilities buildings since 2011. That means no libraries, no meeting halls, no swimming pools for an incoming population of 250,000 people. That black hole for Blacktown is $525 million. And so that's first on our list.
Yeah, and important community facilities. I mean, the meeting points of and the sort of the beating heart of local areas. So,
some infrastructure. That's right.
Yeah, 100%. Just in wrapping up, one final question on COVID. Obviously, we've seen some of the negative impacts and the devastation it's caused on a number of different fronts. What's your big takeaway from the pandemic, particularly this side of 2021? And what's the one brave new idea that you'd like to see sort of come out of post-pandemic world and potentially may not have been heard of if you talked about it or raised it a couple of years back?
So I think firstly, the biggest thing to have come out of COVID is, I think, the amazing resilience and skills of our frontline health workers, police, social service providers who, confronted with personal risk to their own well-being, continued to roll up their sleeves and serve the community. The work that was done at the Blacktown Emergency Operations Centre, which was centred at Mount Druitt Police Station, was absolutely first-rate collaboration between charities, community groups, council and all of the emergency services and government agencies, and the coordination was absolutely first rate. The one big thing I would say is don't dream up a new big thing. There are plenty of things that are acknowledged that Western Sydney needs: connectivity, more trees to deal with urban heat, better public spaces. All of those things can chew up easily $5 billion and more. Don't have another wish list. Do what we know needs to be done well.
It's a great note to wrap up on, mate. Kerry Robinson, thank you for your time this afternoon. Thank you as well for all the work you're doing in championing the needs of Blacktown and Western Sydney too, mate. You're doing a great job, so thank you, and the Mayor.
Thank you very much, Adam, and we greatly enjoy working with our partners, Western Sydney University, Australian Catholic University, and other universities in our work, and all of our commercial partners. So thanks very much, Adam.
Thanks, Kerry.